Alright, y'all, today we're going to be looking at a topic that you're going to need before we jump into linear forms tomorrow. We are going to be looking at, so we've looked at direct variation as your first linear form, which is in y equals mx or kx. And then we're going to be looking at the slope-intercept form, which I know y'all are familiar with. In Algebra 1, there's going to be two more added, which is point-slope form and standard form. But today, we're just going to focus on the skill solving for y, basically turning equations into slope-intercept form. So go ahead and write down your title and then your essential question. Alright, so remember, slope-intercept form is in the form y equals mx plus b. So compare that to the proportional linear or the direct variation. This one will be the non-proportional type of equation. But sometimes in algebra, some of your equations will not be solved for y. And I'm going to show you 4 examples. And you're going to be using your skills of solving for literal equations. Remember, those are the equations with more than one letter to solve for y. So the first example I want us to do, so example 1. Your equation is going to be 8x plus 2y is equal to 18. So just like I taught y'all when we did literal equations, the first thing I want you to do is circle the letter you're solving for. When you are solving for y, you are turning that equation into slope-intercept form, and the y equals mx plus b, and because in y equals mx plus b, y is isolated. So what we got to do is go to circle that letter you're solving for, draw a line through an equal sign. We need to get rid of those 8x first. So we're going to subtract 8x from both sides over. This cancels out to 0, so I'm left with 2y is equal to, I'm going to go ahead and write down the negative 8x first because I want to maintain it in the form mx plus b. So I want to write my x terms first, plus 18. At this point, you want to go ahead and divide by 2 on everything. So notice I'm dividing 2 by every single term. Make sure you simplify. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Bring down the x. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Check if y is isolated. In this case it is. So you have solved for this equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, we're going to take a look at a second problem. And again, if you need to pause this video, you are more than welcome to do so. The expectation is that you write your notes down in your notebook. Okay, example number 2. We're going to have 7x minus y is equal to 35. So again, first step is we want to circle that letter we're solving for. We're solving for that y. Draw a line through equal sign. We want to get rid of that 7x first, so we're going to subtract 7x from both sides. Be careful, this is a very common mistake, so pay very close attention. Remember that this negative y actually has a coefficient of negative 1. The common mistake is that we don't write that negative down and we just assume it's positive. So I'm going to explicitly write down negative 1y so we don't forget to to divide at the end. So again, I'm going to write my x terms first, plus 35, and then I'm going to divide everything by that negative 1. So y is equal to 7x minus 35. Is y isolated? Yes. So therefore, that is your answer in y equals mx plus b. Alright, problem number 3. Okay, problem number 3. 4x plus 1 is equal to 9 plus 4y. So this time the y is on the right side, but that doesn't matter as long as you isolate it. So for this example, I'm going to keep the y on the right side. And at this point, you need to be flexible with solving that equation. Solving that variable, whether it be on the right or on the left, it's going to be okay as long as it's isolated. So the first thing we want to get rid of here is the positive 9 because it doesn't belong on the right side, because that's where we want to isolate y. So subtract 9 from both sides. Be careful and make sure that you're subtracting with like terms. So these are both constants, 1 and 9, so that's going to be subtracted. So bring down that 4x and do your integer rule. So 1 minus 9 is negative 8, or minus 8 is equal to 4y. At this point, divide everything by 4. This cancels out to one whole, so I'm really left with 1x minus because it's a negative 8 divided by 4, which is minus or negative 2, is equal to y. If you're not comfortable seeing that y on the right side, then you can go in and rewrite it on the left. Alright, problem number 4. Okay, problem number 4. Y minus 3 to minus equals 1/2 6x plus 4. So before we can even solve for y, we have a parentheses. So we're going to have to, well, circle the y first, so we know it's going to be kept on the left side. Draw your line through equal sign. Let's just distribute this 1/2. And remember, multiplying by 1/2 is the same thing as dividing by 2. So bring down that y minus 3 on the left side because we're not doing anything with it yet. 1/2 times 6, or 6 cut in half, is 3, so 3x. 1/2 times 4, or 4 divided by 2, is 2. So the only thing that we got to do here is we got to get rid of that minus 3 by adding 3 to both sides. Now be careful. Remember, make sure you add and subtract like terms. So add 3 here. That cancels out to 0. So I'm left with y is equal to 3x plus 5. Alright, that is the end of your notes. If you need to go back and replay some of the notes because I went too fast, you're more than welcome to.